Peace. On this rainy day here in C Medina, aka Chicago, as the masses call it, I remember when I would listen to Original Thought, Metazine, and listen to the God's Bill, and that's how I got real familiar with Supreme Scientist from Cream City. Listening to his bills, because he always would say where he was from. I think by then he was in Born Mecca, if I'm not mistaken. Pardon himself if I'm incorrect, but he would say as the 85% would call it Baltimore, all that. But yeah, so it's knowledge culture going through the Law Power Rule month, and today I'm on my Panama P shit. You know what I mean? And I was thinking about this, like, so knowledge is your foundation, and you'll see that you should see your foundation through how people should see your foundation through how you live. And then people will have the truth about you. Like, oh, that brother deal with the, sciences of everything in life, and you see it in how he lives. Because when we talk about knowledge culture, we are, in essence, you have to define what your culture is. Do you understand? Pardon me, take a step back. Define what culture means, and then you have to define what your culture is. Are you checking the boxes as to, oh yeah, this dictates, this is indicative of my culture, my way of life. Now, there's layers of currents to that, because part of it could be, your culture could be influenced, driven by 30, oh my goodness, the traffic, driven by your ethnicity. So then you got that aspect, but then also just by how you choose to live, your way of life based on how you choose to live, based on what you know that you see as a benefit to your life, willfully. Now, keep in mind, there's always could be a negative side to every positive. And part of your way of life could be just driven because you're comfortable, or you think you're not able to do any better. See, I caught myself. I say, a lot of y'all think y'all can't. And it is not that you can't, it's just that you haven't pushed yourself to have that ability. Because we don't deal with can't. You might not be able to at the time because you don't have the knowledge on a particular cipher, but you have the ability in time. So, and we look at today's degree in the 1 to 40, who is 85%, answer uncivilized people, poison animal eaters, slaves from a mental death and power, people who do not know who the true and living God is, or their origin in this world. They worship that which they know not. They are easily led in the wrong direction, but hard to lead in the right direction. I say it like that because also I want to make sure you understand and hear exactly what's being said. And like, do you check those boxes? Because a lot of times, like, people talk about do it for the culture or whatever, but they don't even really know what culture is. They don't know what their culture is because they haven't defined it for themselves. You can, right now, 85% allow the 10%, the rich slave makers of the poor, to define what their culture is. They tell you what your culture is, and you just fall in line and agree and drink the Kool-Aid and keep drinking it until you so-called die. So, yeah, and another thing, let's look at a different angle from culture. Let's look at today's degree in the 1 to 14. What's the meaning of MGT and GCC? Answer: Muslim Girl Training General Civilization class. This training given to the women and girls of Islam in North America, teaching them how to keep a home, how to raise their children, how to keep a husband, soul cooking, and in general, how to act at home and abroad. These training units were named by our prophet W.D. Farrar. Now that degree, you had the 14, the knowledge culture degree in your 1 to 40, it was describing how 85% culture is. Really? What their way of life is like. What are the drivers? Now look at this knowledge culture degree in your 1 to 14. Now we're talking about, like, say you asking a woman, and also this really includes the man and the babies, how is your way of life? We're talking about how to raise the children, how we keep our home, how to soul cook, and in general, how to act. So how you maintain yourself, how you cook, how you act at home and out and about. And this training units that teach you how to live your way of life were made by a man. So that lets you know that this degree is not solely just talking about women. See yourself in the degree. You know? I think that's it. I think my point is made. And as always, I will that you find this video, these builds, helpful in your everyday life. If you would like to reach out to me because you would like to build more, to learn more, or to become 5%, feel free to email me at rpowerborn@gmail.com. That's R as in ruler, power, Power, born as a baby being born, BORN, @gmail.com. You can hit me on social media at I am Powerborn. That's across all social media. Hit me in the DM, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. With that, I say peace.